You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
So continuing our happy to have late night shows back with monologues, we're going to do another Buddy Hackett joke. I like Buddy Hackett jokes because they always are very diversive and take a turn that you don't expect. Today is about Joe, and Joe had suffered from really bad headaches for 20 years. And like most guys, he puts off going to the doctor for way longer than he should. And finally, he goes to see the doctor. And the doctor says, Joe, I got good news and I got bad news. And the good news is I can cure your headaches. But the bad news is it's going to require castration. You have a very rare condition, which causes your testicles to press up on your spine. And the pressure creates just one hell of a headache. And the only way to relieve that pressure is to remove your testicles. Now, Joe was shocked and depressed. And he wondered if he had anything to live for. He had no choice but to go with the surgery. And it cost him $15,000. And he had good insurance. That's the part that just really hurts. Now, he leaves the hospital and he's without a headache for the first time in 20 years. And he feels like he was missing, he still feels like he's missing an important part of himself, but he's enjoying not having the headache. And he feels like maybe he's a new person. And he should, maybe try to find who he is now. And, so he starts off, he sees a men's clothing store. He says, that's what I need, a new suit. So he enters the shop and tells the salesman, I'd like a new suit. And the old tailor just looks at him and goes, let's see. Size 44 long. And Joe laughs. He goes, that's right. How'd you know? He says, I've been in the business 60 years. I can tell which size you are just from looking at you. Well, the guy puts the suit together and Joe tries it on and it fits perfectly. And he's admiring himself in the mirror and the salesman asks, how about a new shirt? And Joe's like, I deserve a new shirt. So yeah. And the salesman says, let me see, 34 sleeves, 16 and a half neck. And Joe's like, yeah, that's it. He goes, told you, 60 years. And he puts the shirt on and it fits perfectly. And Joe's walking comfortably around the shop and he's looking good. And the guy goes, so, how about some new underwear? And Joe's like, yeah, let's just do the whole thing up. Guy goes, okay, let me see, size 36. And Joe's like, aha, gotcha. I've worn size 34 since I was 18 years old. The salesman shook his head and said, you can't wear a size 34. A size 34 would press your testicles up against the base of your spine and give you a hell of a headache. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on the Experience. Hello to Triple B and to Kenneth. We've got JD on the board. And if you are a fan of Scout Comics, and if you've picked up a few books, you got some that you're missing, or you want to dive into collecting Scout Comics, today is your day. Because Miss Jen on her show, What's in the Box, is going to be featuring Scout Comics. And we'll be doing a 50% off sale, including slabs. So you need one of these with those jokes. Oh, rim shot. Oh, nice. So remember to stick around for What's in the Box if you're a Scout Comics fan. The comic book beardies will be taking a look at the new Gods series from Marvel and the Transformers, plus some of the new X books. And then on SketchUp, Mog and Mel have 6 guests, all freelance artists who are talking about how they approach being freelancers. They will all be drawing, and there will be a bunch of live art sales and everything that you want from SketchUp. So it's going to be a hell of a night here on the Experience. Stick around for it. Now we've got some news to cover, and then we will be talking about the Ahsoka series. Ahsoka being how JD says he likes to pronounce the H. So we're going to hit the news, and then we will go straight into talking about Ahsoka. So first up, Marvel Studios has announced the official release date for the Marvels we know is November 10th. Well, the tickets for the movie will go on sale. I said November 10th for the movie. October 10th is when the tickets go on sale. So you're going to have a month before the debut of the film to get your tickets. And they put out a new trailer that was much more focused on Captain Marvel. And I think there's been, they've been balancing it, calling it the Marvels and showing Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel. But now they seem to be leaning into the fact that it is the sequel to Captain Marvel, which was a $1 billion movie. So they seem to finally be leaning into that. So the new it's not really a trailer, but it's just some clips from this thing, and it focuses on Captain Marvel. So Carol Danvers. All right, moving on to our second bit of news. Hulu just released more proof of why it renewed Only Murders in the Building for a 4th season. Season 3 had the most viewed 2023 finale on Hulu, based on views after its first day streaming. Now, a view is defined as a total stream time divided by runtime. So Hulu released the results, but as usual, it wouldn't provide details other than to say the series remains its most watched original comedy ever. Season 3 was continually ranked in the streamer's top 15. Hulu says while the show is ranked on the Nielsen's top 10 original series chart since its launch, on premiere day of season 3, the series had the most views of any scripted Hulu original in 2023. When asked about a possible Los Angeles setting for the 4th season, co-creator of the series, John Hoffman, was talking to Deadline and said, "We're going to see if there's a definite touch of Los Angeles in small doses." And that's something they talk about in the finale. Whenever Los Angeles is mentioned, people say, I like Los Angeles in small doses. So the fact that he carried over is pretty interesting. But he says that is the wish, because there are continuations. It's not like we put a final period on the interpersonal relationships we were so beautifully built across the season. And that's talking about the relationships that Oliver had with his leading lady and Mabel had with Tolbert. How these are continuing they're moving to Los Angeles, so those relationships could still continue. He also said, "I loved watching the reactions throughout the season to these personal relationships and what they mean. Now the trio is a situation where with everyone they get involved with, they wonder, what have I done? Have I gotten involved with somebody nefarious and murderously potentially?" I love the audience going with that and feeling it making assumptions, presumptions about all of it, and then flipping in ways that is gentler and surprising. We hate losing anybody in the cast, like we said about, and he mentions the victim for season 4, which if you were here yesterday, you heard, but I won't say it right now. But we can find ways of keeping them involved as the great ensemble continues. So, hello, John. Good to see you. So yeah, that's why they renewed Murders in the Building for a 4th season, because it's doing really well for Hulu. All right, moving over to The Daily Show. Roy Wood Jr., who is probably one of the best correspondents currently on the show, is leaving the show. Where he has been a correspondent for 8 years, His exit comes as the network has yet to name a successor for Trevor Noah, who left in December. And that's probably exacerbated by the actor's strike. But Wood told NPR, which broke the news of his departure, that he wanted time to determine his next steps, as the show has not offered him the job as permanent host. I can't come up with a plan B while still working with plan A, he told NPR. Wood said in a statement that after 8 amazing years on The Daily Show, where I have been able to pursue my comedic and political curiosities with some of the best writers, producers, crew, and correspondents anyone could hope for, I've made the decision to move on. I am grateful to Trevor Noah, Paramount, and especially Comedy Central for giving me the runway to also produce 3 one-hour stand-up specials, for letting me host 2 award-winning podcasts, letting me write and shoot my own comedy pilot, write a film, and much more. I look forward to finding other ways to collaborate with them down the road. Until then, I am very excited to nurture new ideas and see what the future holds for me in the shifting sands of late-night television, scripted comedy, and whatever else the comedy gods may have in store for me in 2024 and beyond. I would have zero problem with Roy Woods Jr. being the new host of The Daily Show. I think he's very talented, very funny, and I think he would do a good job. Now, is there other people that could also do that? Probably. But I hope they're at least giving him serious consideration. I think he's earned it. So let's see. Ed says, "Hey Dan, sorry work was rude at the meeting during our time. How dare they?" Am I going to have to send them a message? Yeah, jobs can be demanding, as JD says. All right, also in the news. Now, I have talked about wanting the James Bond franchise to have spinoffs. But I've talked about, hey, let's have a spinoff in this Moneypenny, or M, or 004, 008. Let's go that direction. They're going a different way. Now, it is James Bond Day. So when you go get your new comics, or if you haven't been in the comic store, make sure you look for some of the new James Bond books that are out. But Amazon Prime has teased an upcoming big budget competition show called 007 Road to a Million, where it's giving viewers a first look at Succession star Brian Cox as the controller. Now, MGM Alternative and 72 Films are producing this show, and it follows 9 pairs of everyday people as they tackle a series of Bond-inspired challenges for a shot at winning £1 million, or $1.2 million. Now, Bond regulars Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson are attached as producers. Cox is the on-screen mastermind behind the game, who dictates where the pairs go, what they must do, and sets their questions. He has hidden 10 questions around the world, and contestants can only reach them by winning challenges, pushing their physical strength and mental reserves to the limit. So it's basically the Amazing Race with a James Bond theme. Now, the show is going to launch on November 10th, which is just about a week or two before Netflix is launching their own big budget competition series called Squid Game: The Challenge. So suddenly everybody wants to do a challenge show. And they're tying it into other things. I don't know. I really do want them to do more James Bond stuff, but this is a little ridiculous. There's currently a rumor that what is it, Guy Ritchie? There's a rumor about a director possibly taking on Bond for like 2 movies, and Henry Cavill being his Bond, but it's a loose rumor, so I wouldn't go much with it. It might have been Matthew Vaughn. Either way, it's a good action director that would make interesting, and I think Cavill would be interesting with the idea of it being set in the 60s, when Bond was created. I like that idea, but we'll have to see how that works out. Does anyone watch Squid Game and think, boy, I'd like to live in that world? I don't think anybody does. I really don't think anybody does. So, all right, guys, tonight Tonight is the series premiere of Loki Season 2. Yes, that's a season premiere, not a series premiere. Well, the critics' reviews are coming out, and according to Rotten Tomato, the series is coming in as an 85% fresh. They have 62 critics who have chimed in, 18 of them considered top critics, and 53 of them have found the series to be fresh, with 9 rating it as rotten, which is a pretty good ratio. Now, I don't think they've seen the whole series. I know that they did a premiere the other night where they showed 2 episodes, and I've been hearing about some reviewers having seen 4 episodes, but not all 6. So while they're mainly critiquing the beginning of the series, the actual ending, the mysteries, are remaining mysteries. So we'll have to see. I am looking forward to it. We will talk about it on Tuesday, so you have all weekend to watch the first episode. And it's only dropping 1 episode. They're not doing the 2 episodes in one night. So we will talk about it on Tuesday. I am looking forward to it. A lot of the reviews I've seen are praising the series, referring to Marvel as being back, which I'm not sure where they went. But Ed says he was more like Napoleon Solo. He was a good Napoleon Solo. I liked that Man from U.N.C.L.E. series. But I'm funny that way. Or the movie. I liked that movie. So, all right. Oh, you say he's more Neapolitan Solo. Cute. Yeah, Loki. Hey, Jay. Good to see you. So Loki premieres tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I like this. I like them releasing them at normal times, because then I get to catch up without having to stay up late. It's like this week, Tuesday night, I watched Only Murders in the Building, and then Ahsoka. And then last night, I caught up on Welcome to Wrexham. Tonight, I'll watch Loki. It all works out great. So, all right, guys, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about Ahsoka. Be right back.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Go follow The Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We have a new news story that just broke, and it involves Star Wars, but this is kind of a weird one. Now, right now, all the Star Wars movies are available on Disney Plus, or you can see them streaming on TNT occasionally, because they have a deal with TNT to show them. Now, that deal has just been reworked because TNT had 10 of the 11 movies. They didn't have the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, but they had all the other ones. And the reason was that there was originally a deal with Fox to show Star Wars or A New Hope, and then they made the deal with Turner for all the other films. Well, now Disney owns Fox, so they've made a new deal with Turner or TNT to allow them over the next couple of years to continue showing the Star Wars movies. Now, this kind of consolidates everything. It gives them the 11th one, but it also makes all the movies end at the same time over the next couple of years, where it would have been each one would end at a different time. So, like, a Rogue One would stop in like next year, or Empire Strikes Back would stop at the end of this year, type of thing. It was all kind of sporadic. Well, this new deal, but it also allows Disney to show the Star Wars films on ABC and FX and Freeform. So I have no idea what all this means. But basically, you can still see all the Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. You might catch it on TNT, might catch it on ABC, Fox, or FX, or Freeform. But if you want to watch Star Wars, you probably have a disc of it anyway if you're watching this show. So that's what the news is. I don't understand how all that is working. I don't understand why Warner Brothers, who owns TNT, would want to show some Star Wars. It just is weird. So, all right, let's get to the season finale of Ahsoka. Now, we're going to put up the spoiler thing just in case. So, JD, if you would. All right, so all 8 episodes of Ahsoka are now available. Do we have a little spoiler thing that goes up here? And thank you. I am very mixed on the series. Now, you look online, and there are people who are loving the series. And Dave Filoni can do no wrong. They love Dave Filoni, and they love everything about Ahsoka. And oh my God, it's Rebels, and it's Clone Wars, and Anakin, and just... And I don't have a reason I don't like the series. I don't have a specific thing other than it irks me as a writer. And you may not feel this way, and I get that. But if you were a big fan of Clone Wars and Rebels, or watched enough that you understand everything that's going on, then this is a great continuation. If you haven't watched Rebels and Clone Wars, then they try to give you enough to get you through. And they do a pretty good job with it from a story point of view. But again, it sets off my writer instincts because they tell you everything. They don't show you. The relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine is just told to you. Hu Yang tells you about why they stopped working together. You don't get to see it. And they've got both actors there. They could have done a flashback or something. But no, Hu Yang has to tell you about that. We talk about Kanan Jarrus or Caleb. And again, it's Hu Yang talking about Kanan, not us seeing him. They could have brought Freddie Prinze in for for a cameo. Grand Admiral Thrawn, we're told that he is this huge threat, but we never really see him as a threat. And I've heard people say, well, Grand Admiral Tarkin didn't do much to show that he was a threat. And I disagree with that. He blew up an entire planet after getting what he wanted just to prove a point. He blasted Alderaan after getting the information, even though it was wrong. After he gets the information from Leia, he blows up Alderaan still. So, and Tarkin is introduced. We see Vader, and we see Vader force choking one of his co-workers, and Tarkin goes, "Stop," and Vader stops. So here we have this badass villain Vader that we all accept as badass, and Tarkin goes, "No," and Vader stops. So they did a good job of establishing Tarkin. We don't really get anything with Thrawn. He's been talked about, but we don't see him. We don't see any brilliant strategy. It's like, oh, Thrawn just got his ass kicked. Nope, I meant for that to happen. I just wanted to delay them. Yeah, I'm sure the 0-4 Panthers are like, no, we didn't mean to win any this season. We were hoping to get a good draft pick, even though we traded away our first round draft pick. JD says, I agree with you on Thrawn. He is supposed to be cold, calculated, distant mass murderer that drips with menace, but he came across as just kind of bored. Yeah. He's just kind of there. He's like, yeah. Oh, I want to know who her master was. Oh, it's Anakin Skywalker. And we don't get anything about the history between him and Anakin because we don't know if it's canon or not. Because there's books and all this stuff out there about the two of them, but we don't know what is and what isn't. So if you've read them, you have backstory, which may not be right. If you haven't read them, you've got nothing. So they spent, the Night Sisters, we finally get to see them resurrect some stormtroopers, which was cool. But then it was just suddenly a zombie movie and them closing doors. Why didn't they cut any legs off the zombies? It seems like that would be the fastest way to stop slow-moving zombies is take their legs off. And, like I said, there's a lot of telling, but very little showing. I think the casting's great. I think Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll is amazing. Ivana Sakno as Shin Hati is great. David Tennant steals every scene he's in as Hu Yang. Iman Esfandi as Ezra Bridger is great. I don't know. I love Lars Mikkelsen's voice. I love that he did the character in the animated series. But he just looks a bit like a blue Ronald Reagan. He doesn't quite have that gaunt, menacing feel that Thrawn is supposed to have. And we get introduced to Enoch, but he doesn't do anything other than report. And they have Wes Chatham from The Expanse playing Enoch. So he's not just a throwaway guy. There's an actual actor in there. Claudia Black is playing the Witch Queen, or the head of the three Night Sisters. We got Morgan Elspeth has a big showdown at the end, but what did we get from this series? Was this whole series supposed to be somehow Thrawn returned? Yes, I'm making a play on somehow Palpatine returned. Somehow Thrawn returned. Because we get Ezra back. And even at the end, when Ezra shows up, we don't see how he gets off the ship or how he gets the shuttle and gets away from Thrawn. It's just suddenly he's away from Thrawn, shows up, and they don't shoot him down. He gets to land on the rebel ship or the alliance ship, and there's Hera, and we don't get a hug. We don't get any kind of relationship, and we barely get that when Ezra sees anybody. There's no, oh my God, you're alive. They're just like, oh, Ezra's back. And I know it sounds like I'm just bitching about this, because in a way I am, because there's a lot of great stuff in this series, but there's a lot of it is just kind of dropped out, just like, oh yeah, they're back. Oh yeah, Sabine sees Ezra, It says, so Ezra is supposed to be like a long lost Jedi master. How did he get lost on the planet with Thrawn and witches, and how could Thrawn and the witches not find him? I'm still lost on that. Okay. Here's a short version of that. Ezra, in a big battle with Thrawn in the Rebel series, Ezra used his abilities to communicate with the Purgles, those big space whales, to have them grab Thrawn's ship and his armada and take them into deep space. So that's how they ended up on Peridia, is that the whales took them. Thrawn was trying to find a way home. Now, how Ezra got away from them, how Thrawn found the Night Sisters and awoke them, that all sounds like it's amazing stuff. We don't get to see that. We just get told about it. We don't get to see how Ezra escapes either time. And just, yeah, again, that's where my problem with the series comes from. Ezra sacrificed himself with Purgle to take the Thrawn to the other galaxy at the end of Rebels. Yeah, that's basically what I was trying to explain. But how he got away, why they weren't able to get him, how many of the troopers are actually dead, and how many of them are reanimated. I mean, there's just so many questions. And I don't feel like they really gave us any answers. They introduced the world between worlds and then just left it out there, never explaining it. They decided that Sabine Wren is actually a Jedi or a Force user, which she wasn't in any of the previous stuff. But now she's able to tap into it enough that she can bring her lightsaber to her, and then suddenly she can force push Ezra onto the ship, that like he and Kanan used to do. I don't think Ezra is a Jedi Master. Ezra was a Padawan for a Jedi named Kanan Jarrus, who wasn't a full Jedi Knight either. Kanan was a Padawan when Order 66 happened, and he escaped. He escaped because the crew of the Bad Batch crew, their chips didn't work, so they didn't understand why things were being, why are they killing the Jedi, and they didn't kill young Caleb, who ran off, changed his name to Kanan Jarrus, and was in hiding until he came across young Ezra Bridger and decided to train him as a Jedi. So Kanan, or Caleb, never finished his training, and then he trains Ezra. Now, Ezra is good with the Force, but at a time that Luke is supposed to be the last Jedi, there's a whole lot of Jedi with Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka. I mean, it's a little ridiculous. And says, as much as I had fun with Ahsoka It felt like a filler or commercial for something coming in the future. It easily could have been named something other than Ahsoka. It wasn't all about her. That's very true. You know? And then we have the whole subplot with Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. And Baylan is supposed to be looking for something on the planet, and they forget about him in the finale until the very end. And then he's just standing on top of a mountain that looks like the father in the Three Gods thing that is in Clone Wars and Rebels. They introduce these three gods, the Father, the Daughter, and the Son. And they're Force users, and the Daughter is the good side of the Force, the Son is the evil side of the Force, and the Father's the balance between the two. And it all just, it's a lot of stuff. And that's what they're hinting at. And Ahsoka was saved by the Daughter, whose essence is supposed to be in her now. And that weird owl that shows up every once in a while, like in the finale, is the symbol of the Daughter. Now, we see the three statues that Baylan's standing on. He is standing on the statue of the Father. The Son is to the statue's left, and then to the right is the Daughter, but the top half has been chopped off. So they don't even get into that. It's like, oh, okay, so we're not going to finish Baylan's story. We have an actor who has passed on, and we don't know what the hell's going on. And Shin Hati finally just shows up with some rebels that we saw in one episode. So what is? So those two don't get any closure. Ahsoka and Sabine are left with the Nadi when Hu Yang, trying to fix their ship in the middle of nowhere. And Ezra is able to go back with Thrawn, get off the ship, and find the rebellion or the New Alliance so that he could tell them what's going on. And of course, Thrawn is back with a ship full of zombie stormtroopers. Yeah, that's pretty much the plot. And it's all set up. Nothing really feels resolved other than Sabine accepts that she's a Force user. Ahsoka accepts that she's training her and gets past the feelings of guilt she has towards Anakin going to the dark side, but they never really verbalize those feelings. So we just have to assume that they were there. Ed says, I don't think there's an answer to this, but the witches found Ahsoka easily. But in the years Thrawn and the witches were on the planet with Ezra, couldn't find him with the Jar Jar Mutant Ninja Turtles. Last question. Is the witch's power something different than the Force? That whole thing was a bit wacky for me. Them finding her might have been them looking for something specific that Ezra didn't have, like a kyber crystal, because he didn't have a lightsaber. Or so it could have been something like that. I don't know. They don't explain it. But I could, there's ways they could easily explain that away. The Night Sisters magic is a combination. I'm just going to read what JD wrote. Lightsaber magic is a combination of both light and dark side, according to canon. Yeah, they get into that in Rebels and Clone Wars. Supposedly, one of the Night Sisters is the mother of Maul, and there's a whole thing going on there. But that's the whole point with this series, is they didn't really explain much. They counted on you of having looked it up or read, Wikipedia or asked a friend or watch a show like this that explains it to you. They don't, or they just tell you something to brush over it. The Sword of Talzin was a reference to Mother Talzin, the head of the Night Sisters in Clone Wars, and the mother of Darth Maul, if I remember that correctly. Also the mother of Savage Opress, or Sauvage Opress. Yeah, so did you know Darth Maul had a brother? He was more orange than red. Maybe different dads. Does the Brax work that way? I don't know. Now that said, there was some awesome lightsaber battles. The special effects were great. There were some great moments, some yay moments, some pure Star Wars moments. And overall, I enjoyed watching the show. I didn't end it going, well, that was a waste of my time. But there's just it's the writer in me that's going crazy. To me, it's like Rogue One. Rogue One isn't a movie. Rogue One is like, in a musical term, a bridge. It's its own little section that connects two areas. If it wasn't for A New Hope, Rogue One you'd be like, what the hell was that? But because we know what happens next, we were able to accept Rogue One. But there's no character arcs. There's no story that, oh, these guys change. I mean, you get a little bit from Andor. But other than that, everybody else stays the exact same. And now that we have Andor in the front of it, it's even more of a bridge. It's really Andor's story. And like I said, Rogue One is fun to watch, but it wouldn't work without it having being tacked on to A New Hope, and with those ending moments from A New Hope. So this is the same thing. This, you kind of need to have watched Rebels or Clone Wars to really get the sense of what all this is. And then whatever happens next will make this good or bad. We really need to see, well, what's going to happen with Ahsoka and Sabine? Are they going to get home? Of course they're going to get home. How are they going to get home? Are they going to use the Purgles? Are they going to use the world between worlds? Is that how they get home? I mean, that's really, they introduced it earlier. It's kind of Chekhov's gun, and then we don't get back to it. Baylan, what's he looking for? What is going on with Baylan? What is, Shin has that moment where Ahsoka offers to help her. Is she going to turn around and become, one of another assistant for Ahsoka? I mean, it just, the season ended without ending. I mean, there's talk that there's going to be a second season, and there has to be, because there's so much left up in the air. Is it worth watching all those cartoons, or should I just look for a synopsis of the cartoons to try and play catch up, or just forget it and move forward? There are some sites out there that will tell you which episodes of those series you should watch. And there are some very good things in those shows. So if you have the inclination, I would say, yeah, look it up and see which episodes you need to watch. Like I said, there's sites out there that will tell you, and watch those. Or sit down and just watch the show. Rebels is pretty good. Clone Wars kind of goes in a lot of different places, but there's some good stuff in it. If, it spends a lot of time giving us Anakin Skywalker that is worth knowing. JD says Clone Wars is so long and so many repetitive throwaway episodes. Don't try to watch it from beginning to end. Okay. But yeah, I do recommend finding a site that will tell you which episodes you should watch to pick up on this. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and we'll take another break. And when we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Be right back.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code. What if Hans Gruber from Die Hard had to battle the Joker from Batman the Animated Series in a dance battle? Or who would win in a race between Baby from Baby Driver and Snidely Whiplash? If Austin Powers and Shrek found themselves in a hot dog eating contest, who would emerge victorious? These are the questions we talk about on Nerd Killer Warfare. Debate the most absurd questions you've ever heard in popular culture. Register now by scanning the QR code or visiting bit.ly/EXP casting.
Okay, JD, turn on your mic.
Yes.
What's wrong with General Grievous?
Nothing's wrong with General Grievous. It's just that every episode with General Grievous in Clone Wars is a throwaway episode. It's just the same thing over and over again. They fight with him. He gets away. Someone else, it's just they're the same one over and over again.
What about the Jar Jar episodes? You didn't say anything.
Oh, I don't remember any Jar Jar episodes. Maybe I blocked them out.
Oh, there's one where they think he's a Jedi?
Really?
Yeah. It's a season 1 episode where they think he's a Jedi and he can talk to fish.
Okay. No, I don't remember that one at all. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a throwaway as well.
Yep. It's just him and Padme on a planet. And somehow he gets confused for being a Jedi.
Yeah, you could skip that one too.
All right, guys. Overall, I think it was a fun show, but I have to kind of turn my brain off a bit for it because, like I said, when it has been drilled in my head so much as a writer to show and not tell, and this show is all telling. There's just so much that it's not. it breaks my writer heart, you know, because then I go online and I see all these people praising it, and it's like, really? What are we praising? You know, I mean, and the first couple episodes were slow. So they could have easily cut some of that out and put in some of the stuff that they tell us about. You know, they could have established the actual rebel crew at some point. That would have been nice, but we don't even get Zeb. How do we not get Zeb? How was it that Zeb was not part of the X-wings that went with Hera? That part blows my mind. It's like, why wouldn't Zeb be there? You know, Zeb is friends with Carson Tevye. So why wasn't Zeb there? Zeb is too expensive. He'd be in a TIE fighter. He'd have a helmet on. Or he'd be in an X-Wing with a helmet on. He couldn't have been that bad. Just show him in a couple clips, you know? The naughty, yes. They spent all the money on the naughty and buying them little suits. Yeah. It was an interesting show. But again, it didn't resolve much of anything. It says the most disappointing thing of the first episode was that the writing intro wasn't blue and angled like Star Wars movie we know and love. I was like, what? Yeah. And then there's a moment where Hu Yang is telling Ahsoka a story, and he says, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And of course, the internet went crazy going, wait, are all Star Wars movies from Hu Yang's point of view? Is he the one telling the story? It's like, really? That's what you took from that? That's what your takeaway was? That suddenly David Tennant is the narrator of the entire Star Wars universe? Because it wasn't like everybody was searching before, hey, who's the narrator? Who is this supposed to be? Is it Luke? Is it Ben? Who's telling us the opening crawls? Nobody cared. Nobody even thought about it. But because the robot says, you know, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, suddenly, oh my God, he's the narrator. Could have been 3PO. 3PO has been around for everything, even though his mind got wiped at one point, a couple times. I don't know. Star Wars is in an interesting place. I think this era of Star Wars, like 10 years after the Battle of Yavin, 10 BBY, when you have the Mandalorian, you know, you have Ahsoka, you have Boba Fett, you have those series. I think they could be really interesting, and they're going to lead into a series of movies. And I like that. But I am so tired of Jedis being in everything. And I'm so tired of everything having to tie in to the Skywalkers that I'd really love to explore other areas of the show. You know, I'm looking for the Acolyte before there was a Skywalker. You know, yes, it's still going to be Jedis, but, you know, can we get away from the Skywalkers? It's a galaxy, folks. It's not a little small town. We shouldn't be tripping over Skywalkers everywhere. Probably shouldn't be tripping over Jedis, especially in this particular era that we're watching, where most of them were supposed to be killed by Order 66. We were supposed to have one, and they said, he's our last hope. No, there is another. Turns out there was a lot. Don't worry, Ben, there's a bunch of them. Got a ton of them. We'll get one. No worries. It says the Star Wars universe is the real universe, and they're watching us in the theater. I'll get that viral by the weekend. Good luck. I'd love to see that. They're telling stories about this strange-ass world. See, I'd like to see a crossover with the fact that Disney owns a lot of this stuff. I'd love to see Marvel comics exist in the Star Wars universe and Star Wars movies exist in the Marvel universe. I'd love to see a Zabrax playing with an Iron Man figure, or a kid walking around with a lightsaber as Spider-Man swipes in to save him. I think that would be fun, or Indiana Jones, or just have these things, the different universes exist. Because I don't want them to cross over. I don't want suddenly Spider-Man lands in front of Darth Maul. I don't want that. But having the universes exist as fictional universes, I think that could be a lot of fun. All right, guys, we're going to wrap that up. Ed says, have a great weekend, Dan. Hope you feel better each and every day. Thank you, sir. Take care and see you Sunday night. Yes, we will be doing Pop Go the Writers on Sunday, where I'm sure Jim will explain to me why I'm completely wrong on Ahsoka and how it's such a great series. And we'll also talk about Loki. If you can't wait till Tuesday to talk about it, you can join us on Sunday night on Pop Go the Writers. Otherwise, I'll be back on Tuesday. I hope you all have a great day. Remember to stick around. What's in the box? Miss Jen is doing Scout Comics at 50% off. The Comic Book Beardies are talking about the new God series from Marvel and the Transformers from Image. And, of course, SketchUp has 6 different artists tonight. So we will see you all next week. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now.